Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Ready, Aim, Retire, the show that focuses on helping you build a legacy through expert wealth management. I'm Rob Kirvan, and as usual, if you're watching on YouTube, I'm here with Tony Shore, always looking good. Summer's a good time, and,
Yeah.
and Tony, you just keep, you look better every time I see you in the summertime. Winter time, I'm not going to get into, but like
Yeah.
currently looking fantastic.
Well, I have 3 stages. I'm half Irish, half English. So I have 3 stages: white, burn, and peel. There
Yes,
is no tan.
I have those
So
exact phases as you have.
so it's tough. Although I do get a little color in the summer, it does help. You're right. I love summertime. I'm always a little more upbeat during the summer, wouldn't you say? I mean,
Yeah,
people are
yeah.
usually more
I think
upbeat.
everybody is.
They're
You're
getting
just in a
more
better
sun.
mood.
Yeah.
I should be doing this from Arizona or something where it's always although it's very hot there. I talked to a
We
client there
should
yesterday and they
probably
can't even go outside.
Yeah, we should probably do the show for at least 2 weeks out of the year from Key West. That's
Oh,
my
that would be good.
What do you think?
I'm down.
Live from Key
Let's move
West?
the equipment.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
that'd
yeah,
be
we
great.
can
That'd be
we've got
great.
a nice, hard case to carry equipment in. We could set up down there in Key West. We could wherever you wanted, on some rooftop in Key West or,
A
out
pina
there.
colada while we're doing it, you
Yeah,
know?
maybe from the Hemingway house, there's a bunch
Oh,
of six-toed cats running around and roosters and everything else in his backyard.
well, let's keep that on the back burner.
Yeah,
Winter
let's put
winter will be here before we know it, Tony, unfortunately.
I mean,
So,
we could probably get, I think Mike Binger, your friend and mine,
yeah.
over at Grady Investments, we could get him to sponsor that, I think.
I don't think you'd have to you really pull a lot of teeth to get Binger down to Hemingway's in Key
Yeah,
West.
yeah,
I'm sure
exactly.
he would probably be into something like that,
He would be. If we include him, it could happen,
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
So, now this has been a crazy week. I know you have a specific topic for us, but don't we have to quickly touch on what's going on with the Fed and the market and inflation?
100%. 100%. So so yesterday, the numbers came out. The inflation number was a little bit lower, which was good. Which sparked the markets. The markets took off, especially in the tech industry because they're very interest rate sensitive.
NASDAQ,
Um,
yep.
yeah, the Nasdaq was really going. Nvidia, the chip company,
NVIDIA, I heard Apple hit a record high as far
Apple
as
was
cost,
moving
Apple
yesterday.
stock, yep.
Well, Apple came out. So I'll not to get too sidetracked, folks, but so Apple, it's interesting. People left them for dead. They're like,
Right.
"Oh, Apple's not into the AI. It looks like they're not doing anything with this." And I'm just thinking the whole time, I'm like, "Are you guys crazy?"
Right.
There was phones before Apple came, and what Apple did was just make the phone better. And there
Right.
were the iPads. Everything they do, they're never the first to market, but they're always the best to market. So then they did their big announcement at their investor day of like, "Hey, we got AI on every phone," and here's why their stock went up, Tony. And if you're an Apple user, and I'm an Apple user, and my whole family is, so I'm not
Yep.
looking forward to this. Is
Same.
every phone after before 2023 is not going to be capable of the new AI stuff they're putting on it. So they're going to have a natural increase in phone sales, I believe, over the next several years because
Yes.
once somebody gets it, it's like anything else, you want it. So that's kind of their stock was up 6% yesterday. It's up again today. So it surpassed, and it's the largest, over 3.2 trillion or something like that. So that definitely was big news. The other big news was the Jerome Powell, the Fed chair, came out very dovish, and when they speak of dovish and hawkish means they're going to keep the screws on us a little bit, so the
Mhm.
market doesn't like hawkish, but dovish means it looks like they're going to start easing. And we had the Bank of Canada cut interest rates. We had the UK, they cut interest rates over the past few weeks. So we may be late to the party in cutting interest rates, but again, that inflation number is not where they want it, so they have to keep to their
Right.
mandate. But I suspect, as I've said before, it is an election year. So I would suspect that you're going to get an interest rate cut, if I had to guess, in September. Will there be two of them? Will there be another one in December? That's that's for the data to decide. But my gut tells me that we'll see one in September. I think the market is also feeling that, which is why you're seeing a bit of a run. But again, this market, Tony, from the time Jerome Powell came out in November of last year, has gone almost up in a straight line. other than April that was down, every
Right.
other month has been up, right? So it's been moving. So I would prepare um, for some sort of pullback. No matter how great the news is, at one point things get exhausted. And when they get exhausted, you need to either trade sideways for a while, take a break, let things catch up. There's not really a lot of news between now and the next earnings season. And summer generally volumes are low. So you do see a lot of sell-offs in the summertime, especially once you get into August and September. So if you're listening out there, folks, that's what I'd be prepared for. It's definitely cannot continue going up in a straight line. Although it's very euphoric and momentum, there's an old saying in investing, the trend is your friend. If it's trending down, you don't start buying stocks, until you kind of know where are we close to the bottom of this correction. And same when it's trending up, don't fight it. Sometimes you can't fight it. If it's going, you have momentum, and momentum is a powerful thing in the stock market, and the momentum can drive things, even if valuations and things get out of whack. Momentum can still drive markets forward. So we're kind of in that weird flux right now, but the news has been good. That was news that the market was hoping for,
Mhm.
and we saw it take off. So yeah,
Yeah.
so that was very positive.
Yeah, yeah, just a slight downtick in inflation, some positive news from the Fed. They're gonna hold steady, but, alluded to at least one rate cut before the end
Mhm.
of the year, and, that's good. Now, today you said you wanted to talk about your retirement calendar, and by
Yeah,
you or our listeners out
I
there,
think
their
our listeners.
retirement calendars.
Yeah. So there's a lot of key points as you're preparing for retirement, in retirement, and there's key dates. There's almost like life milestones when you're talking retirement. And what I want to do today is just we'll touch on a few. We'll probably expand on a couple of them that I think are more important than others. But we'll just go through the list because this is a list that a lot of people they just don't know. You don't know there's some pretty finite dates that provide a lot of opportunity to you guys out there to get more control of your finances, to help start building for retirement. And if you keep an eye on these dates, you're able to kind of, I think, have a better success rate. You
Sure.
know, so the first one, Tony, does not have a date on it. It is basically at any stage you're at, is developing a financial plan. It's never too early to kind of get your ducks in a row. You don't have to be, 55, 60 to start worrying about that kind of stuff. The earlier, the better. I've never had a client say to me, I wish I came here later. It's usually, I wish I came here sooner,
Oh, always, yeah.
and
Hindsight's 2020. I wish I'd known and done this back when I was 21 rather than when I'm 50, right? That's
right.
what people always say. Yeah.
100%. And I do have a lot of clients that have their children come in and work with us because they know this. From
Yeah.
working with us and just talking about it, they know, geez, you know what? If I can get them in here, some of it works, some of it doesn't. Kids are kids, like if my kids,
Right.
if my kids weren't my kids, they would not be working with anybody. But because they're my kids, they're kind of forced to. They have no choice. So they're organized, whether they understand it or not. That's not important. The important part is getting a plan in place, understanding what your goals are, and starting that saving, the saving for retirement early, but seeing what that looks like, and seeing like, oh wow, you don't have to save a lot. It's interesting. The earlier you do it, the much better off you are. Like if you save, money in your 20s every single month, you have to save way less than you would if you started in your 40s.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because the compound interest effects. So the first one would be is like sit down with somebody, get a financial plan, get things organized, and understand. Okay, how can this help? And we have people come in that we can't necessarily manage their assets, Tony, but we can definitely push them in the right direction.
Yeah.
Especially a lot of clients, children, and that we have nieces and nephews and things like that, where we'll push them in the right direction, give them the advice that's going to help them out. We can't necessarily do anything with them at that point in time, but we're more doing it as a service to go, you know what, this is important. Let's start doing it. So I would
Sure.
say that that's the first one. And the second one that would come in there, and again, this is no age, there's no age to this. And we've talked about this on the show, is getting your enhanced plan in order. You got a financial plan, that's great. What's an enhanced plan? Where do your assets go? How are your beneficiaries named? Are you avoiding probate? Do you need a trust? Do you have a will? Things like this,
Powers of attorney.
powers of attorney, and all of that now, Tony, we're able to do. We announced it, via email. We announced on the show, a little while back, but we're able now, through a partnership that we have, to be able to provide our clients with wills, trusts, power of attorneys. We did this because we wanted to make sure that this is important. We used to refer out this into a lot, but people would never do it. Now you're in front of me.
Right.
Now there's a little bit of that Irish guilt, where it's like, oh boy, we better get this stuff organized,
That's right.
we're doing it to make you organized,
Right.
nothing else, but getting that organized and getting your enhanced plan organized, and even little things like, you're right, the power of attorneys. I see everything, you hear everything. You work with people like me all over the country, so you hear the stories of just terrible things happening at wrong times, and if your stuff isn't in order, it's only worse. It only gets worse for whoever's trying to help out in that situation or gather the pieces.
Yeah,
So
you don't want to leave your loved ones in a bad situation, and it
no,
happens so often because of people don't set up the proper trusts or do the right things to avoid probate. And beneficiary designations are a part of that enhanced planning that you're talking about. We've talked about that, how
yeah,
critical it is to update those beneficiaries on all your financial accounts, right?
and making sure the money's going where you want it to,
Yeah,
and making sure, and we have beneficiary changes all the time, and different things that happen. But yeah, you want to know, like if you're looking down at the kitchen table, I don't want my kids saying, "Oh man, Dad, I can't believe how disorganized this is," or "How are we going to fix all this?" Or those kind of things come up. So financial plan never too early, enhanced plan never too early. So those ones we don't have a specific date, but those are ones, folks, you got to get that organized, and
yeah.
your future self. Like I say, this is what I say to my kids all the time. Your future self will thank you. So in this case, your future self will thank you. 100%. And once you have it done, peace of mind. There's a peace of mind that comes over you. Like, okay, I'm organized. Took a while. Should have done it sooner. Whatever. But now it's done. So that would be the number two.
Yeah, so the first two are have a plan, and
Mm-hmm.
this is at any age, wherever
Any
you're
age.
at right now. If you don't already have a written extensive wealth plan or retirement income plan, that's part of it, and an enhanced plan for your estate plan, your wills, your trusts. Okay, so that
Yep.
makes sense. That's the
Mhm.
beginning of a retirement
That's
calendar.
your
What's
that's your foundation. So the
Yep.
next one would be once you turn age 50, and this is in the retirement savings bucket. In 2024, once you hit 50, you can now contribute $7,000 to an IRA or Roth IRA and $23,000 to an employer plan. So those limits have been increased. At 50 and older, now you can contribute 8,000 to an IRA. So those guys, guys and gals out there that you feel you're a little bit behind, like, oh, you know what, I should have been doing this earlier. Well, you can't fix yesterday, but you can certainly fix tomorrow. So
Right,
start. Now you're allowed to put with the catch up to $8,000, and you can actually put 30,500 into an employer plan once
wow.
you're over the age of 50. So you can do some catch up, Tony. You can definitely, start, just socking money away. Look 10 years down the road. What does that look like? It looks a heck of a lot better than it does today. So that's another big number where as soon as you get over 50, all of a sudden you're going from 23,000 in an employer plan up to 30,000. Well, that's a huge advantage, and I encourage everybody uh, to max out as much as they can. We all have expenses. I understand we're living, but saving can't be painful, because it is. If it is, you'll stop it. Make it something where
Right.
out of sight, out of mind, where it's not going to be on your mind to stop it. So find your comfort zone, whatever you can do financially, to make sure you're still enjoying life and you're still doing the things you want to do, but put savings as a priority, especially if you're 50. Put that as a super duper priority. Um, the next one is age 59 and a half. Okay. So at age 59 and a half, you're now allowed to roll over your employer plan or roll over an IRA, or anything like that into your own IRA. And when you're working with somebody, your options are going to increase. you're going to have, more opportunity to really start getting this, getting your financial plan in order, getting your retirement plan in order. And we have many clients that they're not retired, they're, 59 and a half. And when they hit 59 and a half, they're like, oh, perfect. Now I can roll this over. We're still working with them. They're still working, but now we're able to manage that and control risk and put it into funds that are more in their retirement time horizon and more in their retirement
More
timeline.
personalized and
Totally.
actively managed, and most 401k plans aren't that personalized. It's more generic, and they
Right.
aren't actively managed, and, sometimes the fees are way hidden, so,
Mhm.
it does make sense to work with a financial professional, a fiduciary who's gonna look out for your best interests once you turn 59 and a half, and move that unless you have to put in enough to get the match. You always wanna do that,
Yeah.
but
Get the free money.
you might wanna move the amount, the base amount over into your own personal IRA and have it actively managed by someone like yourself and Gradient Investments or whoever you're working with for that client. I think that makes perfect sense because you have a lot more control, flexibility, and it can be tailored to suit your plan and your time horizon, right?
Right. And whatever your future goals are. And on that note, Tony, when you're out there listening, anytime you leave a job and you have an old 401k sitting at this other job or 403b, whatever it happens to be, at that point, at any age, you can roll that into your own IRA.
Right.
So nowadays, it's not like it was before, Tony, where people would start with a company, finish with a company, get
Right.
the watch, get the retirement dinner, whatever. Now people, I would think my daughter's ages and they're, mid 20s, late 20s, like other than the one that works for me, hopefully, Abby, other than her, most of the, you get a job, you're looking for the next job. Like that's kind of,
Yeah.
they're always looking to upgrade. There's not the sense of loyalty that there once was, out there. So if you do have, a few of these 401ks sitting out there, give us a call and get those into your own plan. We even have clients that we've worked with, Tony, for years. They're like, oh my gosh, Rob, I forgot. I got this, and it's not even small amounts. It could be 40, 50, $100,000 in this old plan. I got to roll that over, and I'm like, oh my goodness. Yeah, you do have to roll that over. Like,
Yeah.
let's be proactive in this. And you should do that. Then you, again, like Tony just said, you have more choices. It's tailored to you, to where you are currently in life, where you're going. And again, then someone is actively managing it. Someone's meeting with you. You're providing you the information to just keep going and do better and keep adding to these things. So
Yeah.
that's another really good point, as far as that goes.
What's
Um,
next on the list?
what do you think? I would say the next on the list is age 62. So 59 and a half. Now 62 is a big one because
Yeah.
62, what do you become eligible for, Tony?
Social Security,
Social
at least
Security.
early filing Social
Early
Security.
filing Social Security. So you have the ability to elect Social Security. If you haven't listened to my Social Security show, when maybe it was a month ago or whatever, go back in YouTube, listen to that show because I go through the advantages and disadvantages of electing early. When you elect early at 62, you do take a haircut in what your benefit would be at full retirement age. So you definitely want to run a Social Security maximization to see does it make sense. And you know what, Tony? Sometimes it does. There's a lot of times where we do have people take it at 62 for a variety of reasons. It could be financial. They may have lost a job and they need that income. They don't want to tap into their stuff quite yet. So there's a lot of reasons to take it at 62, but there's a lot of reasons not to. So you want to make sure before you elect it, because once you elect your Social Security, you're locked in. You're locked into that election. So you want to make sure that you get all the information, get your Social Security maximization report, get everything that you can make a great decision when you're sitting down with us, and we go through saying, here's the pros, here's the cons. Here's what the plan looks like doing it now. Here's what it looks like doing it later. And that's the process you want to go through when you're at 62 and thinking about it. If you're at 62 and you're not thinking about it, you're like, I'm looking at full retirement or later. Don't worry about it. But if you're at 62 and you're out there listening, going, well, I was planning on taking it, maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't. Come on in and we can look at it and run a real report for you to see the advantages and disadvantages.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. I think Social Security is obviously the foundation to any solid retirement plan. It's
Yep.
income that you know will be there. You might want to maximize it, and you might want to look at your own personal time horizon and situation. And I know you have a report that you run for people.
Mhm.
You sit down, you've helped so many people with their Social Security. And for a lot of people, it makes sense to wait to file, and for some, it doesn't, right?
Right, yeah, yeah, so
Mhm.
everyone's different, right? Like
Yeah,
everyone's different, everyone's got a different goal, everyone's at a different place financially, there's health. Health plays into that too, Tony, like, if I'm sitting here at 62,
oh,
my health
sure.
not great, it sometimes makes sense to say, "You know what? I might as well take it now."
Right.
So there's all those factors, but again, sit down with us, we'll go through those, we'll run the report like Tony says. The next on your list, if you haven't taken Social Security benefits, or if you have, when you turn the age of 65, all of a sudden you're in the Medicare world, so you can sign up for Medicare. You have a 7-month period, three
Yep.
months before the month of your birthday and 3 months after. But you have to sign up. Regardless if you're working or retired, you have to sign up. Your employer plan may continue covering your health care, and that's fine, but you have to sign up for it. And the it's gonna consist of the Medicare Part A, the Part B, which is like doctors and outpatient stuff, Part C, Medicare Advantage, Part D, prescriptions, which is ever changing. I know enough about Medicare. We're going to bring a pro on here, Tony, because I know enough to be dangerous. I see it every day. I talk to our contacts in the Medicare side, but we're going to bring a professional on here over the next, probably 4 to 6 weeks, and they're going to go through everything about Medicare.
Right. You work with Medicare specialists to
Yeah.
help your clients if they need help with this, figuring out what they need for Medicare. Do they need a supplement? Is Medicare Advantage better for them cost wise? How to sign up. I know that your office works with Medicare specialists to
Mhm.
make sure that happens.
Right. And I'm a big proponent of that. Like if someone specializes in something, they're gonna know more than you. Like like
Oh,
like
yeah.
from a tax perspective, Tony, I send all my taxes to a CPA. Now, can I do taxes? Well, of course I can do taxes. But can I do them as well as they can? They're up on top of everything all the time, so they can guide me from a tax perspective. And my kids, I could do theirs. They're pretty simple, but I want them to be in the habit of dealing with somebody that specializes in something. So they all
Exactly.
go to the CPA too,
Yep.
at a young age, if you start surrounding yourselves with people that are very good and experts in their field, you're going to do better. It's why, like, very high net worth people, they're not sitting there managing their own funds.
Right.
That's not their thing. Their thing is doing their thing, and they hire experts to do that. Much as our clients hire us to manage their funds, because they want an expert that does this all day, every day, and that part's important, and that's why we're going to bring a Medicare, an expert on to walk through this, and that show is going to be great because that's obviously always a hot topic.
It is.
Same as a Social Security, always a hot topic because there's enough, you know, things to understand. There's a lot of moving parts in the Medicare world, and like you said, Tony, do I need Advantage? Do I need Part B? Do I need the drug plan? Like, there's just so many moving parts that I think that show will be a great one. But we'll touch on that. But that's age 65, folks. You have to sign up for it, regardless if you're working or not. What do we got next? Age 67. We call that FRA, full retirement age, Tony. For most people listening, it's full retirement age. That will only increase over time. It'll be 67 and a half and then 68. And that's what's happened from the very beginning. It has to increase because guess what? We're living longer. They're paying benefits out longer. My grandfather retired at 62 and lived to 101. That's a lot of benefits.
Right.
40 years of benefits. That's,
Yeah.
you're not planning on that. That's why it keeps pushing on. That's why they, when they do the shows on Social Security is going bankrupt, things like that. Once you move the goalposts a little bit to, mine currently says 67. I fully intend by the time I get there, it's going to be 68 or 68 and a half, even. It's probably going to be something like that, but that is your full retirement age. That's the point. If you were born 1960, 1970, 1980, 1990, 1991, 1992, 1993, 1994, 1995, 1996, 1997, 1998, 1999, 1900, 1901, 1902, 1903, 1904, 1905, 1906, 1907, 1908, 1909, 1910, by the time I get there, it's going to be 68 or 68 and a half, even. It's probably going to be something like that, but that is your full retirement age. in 1960 or later, your full retirement age is going to be 67. If you're 55 to 59, you're going to be between 66 and 67. But that's the time where there's no discount on your Social Security. So when you take it at 62, the discount all the way up every single year, there's a discount applied till you get to full retirement age. Once you get there, no discount. The other advantage to there is if you ran your Social Security maximization and that was the perfect time for you, you can continue working. You get no holdback of your Social Security. Where we're not going to get into that. If you want to know what holdbacks and things, go to the Social Security episode on YouTube that we have where we go into that more deep. But there's no holdback either. So it's definitely a big age and a big timeline in your retirement calendar for sure.
Good point. What's the next age we need to be concerned about
Well,
or
Tony,
have on our retirement
it's going to be another Social Security age. It's age 70. So at age 70, that's the last, at age 70, your Social Security is maxed out, meaning from 67 to 70, it increases now every year versus age 62 where you're taking a haircut. This one, it's increasing every year. But once you reach age 70, you got to take it because it doesn't increase anymore. So that's the maximum you can get. And we have clients, I would say, Tony, that would take it anywhere from, I would say our average is probably at full retirement age, but we do have the ones at 70 if they're working. And we have some people that are like, no, I just really I want the maximum, and then we have good genes. And if you're married, you have to understand that, when one spouse passes, you get the higher of the two Social Securities. You don't get both. So somebody having it at full, at the age of 70, big advantage, for down the road. When you're planning, you got to look
for their spouse that's going to outlive them.
100%.
Which is usually the female.
Yes, it's usually a female because, quite frankly, I've been married 30 years, Tony, and Natalie probably needs 3 years on her own, at the end. Just a piece of quiet.
Women typically outlive men by 6 years. And then the question is, why do men die first? And I've heard the answer, because they want to. And I don't know if that's correct or not.
I guess that depends.
Yeah, that's wrong. But
I think that's
no. Women do typically.
That wasn't me.
Women do typically outlive men by about 6 years, and so you're going to leave them in a bad situation if you haven't maximized your Social Security, or they haven't maximized. They're one of the two. Theirs. So what's next on the list?
So our next one. So now we're going to get into the required distributions. So we kind of went through the whole gamut. We're saving the money in these qualified plans. And now you reach the age of 73 and you have to start taking what's called required minimum distributions, which from your regular IRA or your 401k plan, if you're not working anymore. If you're currently working for the company with the 401k plan, a lot of their plans will say you don't have to take it, if you're currently still contributing to a 401k. But we're not going to get into the weeds on that one. But from your IRA plan, the IRS says you have to take a certain percentage out starting at age 73 all the way through retirement. And a lot of our clients, they don't need the money. So they, a lot of them will take an RMD and it'll actually just transfer to a trust account. We just do it, internally. Some take it and that's their trip money, so depending on what the plan is and the individual, that's the point where you have to take it. Sometimes you have a plan where you're taking it anyway because it's part of your income plan.
Sure.
So it doesn't really even, there's no hiccup there. You've already taken what you're supposed to. But at that point in time, you have to. When clients come in here, we get the list, third week of January. So all throughout the year, we're making sure they take them, because if you don't take them, you're going to pay a 25% penalty on what you were supposed to take. So if I was supposed to take 10,000, I'm paying a $2,500 penalty. So you got to take them, and you don't want to delay it to the end of the end of the year, because a lot of times, with processing times, you can't get it done in time. So we generally like to have all of that wrapped up by October, November at the latest, to make sure we're all good. And every client of mine's the different timeline. Like I said, it's vacations, it's family trips, it goes in the trust account for later, for a rainy day. So it doesn't matter what you do with it, as long as you pay the taxes on it. Uncle Sam just wants theirs, and that's kind of the name of the game. The final one I have is also an RMD. So they changed these rules, with the Secure Act 2.0, and kind of adjusted all of this kind of stuff. So now in 2033, the age shifts to age 75. So the all of a sudden your RMDs, you don't have to take it at age 73 if you weren't 73 before 2033. If you were, you got to continue on. If you're already
Oh,
taking
sure.
them, you got to continue on. But if you haven't reached the age of 73 by 2033, then it's now it's the age of 75. Which is for people listening, may not sound like much. That's a huge advantage, because now
It is a big advantage.
your money's growing more tax deferred, and you don't have to take it, and a lot of people, depending on their sources of income, they might have pensions, social security, they might have annuity income, they might have, the way they withdraw money in retirement. You take an RMD, if I have like $1 million IRA, RMD is around $40,000. You can multiply that up and down. That can push tax
Oh,
brackets.
yeah.
All of a sudden, you pay more
Easily.
tax on everything. So pushing it a year, a couple years down the road, definitely helpful for everybody listening out there. And then that's kind of, that's I think that's a really good thing. And I think, going forward, it could, probably maybe by the time I get there, mine will definitely be obviously 75. So were yours, Tony. It might be 77 by the time there. And the reason they do that is obviously people are living longer. That's kind of the name of the game, so all in all, if we look at your retirement calendar, Tony and I touched on one, get a financial plan, any age, younger the better. Get that organized because you'll get a savings plan in place. You'll have some structure, some consistency, so you don't have to worry about it. So you can still live your life and let somebody else, make sure they're managing that. The next one is enhanced plan, making sure you got your wills, your trust, your beneficiaries, avoid probate, do all of the things that you don't want somebody looking down and going, "Ooh, geez, Rob really messed this up." Or dad. I'm sorry, my kids would be saying dad, I would assume. Um, Age 50, we talked about the increase of your ability to save. Age 59 and a half, your ability now to roll over your IRA to your own personalized plan. Age 62, talked about Social Security, and that's your first election date. Age 65, Medicare, now you have to elect Medicare. Age 67, your full retirement age, you've reached it. Age 70, your maximum time that your Social Security rolls up. Age 73, the first spot where you have to take RMDs. Age 75, if you haven't reached 73 by 2033, then now you're age 75 to start your required minimum distributions. So that's your retirement calendar in a quick nutshell, Tony.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you covered the gamut today,
Yeah.
Rob, and that's
That was a
very,
lot.
very, very helpful. And if people have questions about how to get a plan in place to deal with these dates and to make sure they're on solid ground and will have a comfortable retirement, how can they get a hold of you?
Go right on to apadvisorsgroup.com. You can go on there. You can see we have lots of tools, lots of things that'll help you out. Lots of videos. You can even link up to this show there. You can link up to my podcast there, and then you can request. You can fill out a form to request a one-on-one appointment. Costs you nothing. You sit down and say, "Hey, this is where I'm at. Can you be of help?" Well, let's see, and then look at it. But do yourself a favor. If it costs you nothing, do it. It's you come on in, sit down for a half hour, 45 minutes, and then see where you're at, and then see if there's anything we can do to help you get to where you want to get to someday. So I would encourage that. Go to apadvisorsgroup.com, fill out the form, or call us direct 630-780-1099 for those of you listening on the podcast world out there. We're on both platforms, but a lot of people, Tony, they love seeing me and you. So they're YouTubers. I'm converting people a little every week. They're converting to YouTube because they just say, hey, they just like seeing us. They like seeing what we're wearing, what we're talking about, what we're looking like. Sometimes Tony's in his home office, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely do that. And then we would love to sit down with you.
All right. Sounds great, Rob. Great show. We had a good time today, covered a lot of ground. Listeners and viewers, thanks for tuning in. That does it for today's episode of Ready, Aim, Retire with our host, Rob Kirvan.